Imagine waking up on a scorching summer morning. You reach for a glass of ice-cold water, step into an air-conditioned room, and barely think twice about it. Air conditioning has become such a normal part of life that most of us never stop to ask one simple question. Why was it invented? The answer might surprise you. The world's first modern air conditioner wasn't built to keep people comfortable. It wasn't designed for homes, offices, or luxury hotels. In fact, its inventor wasn't even thinking about beating the summer heat. He had only one mission: to save paper. At the beginning of the 20th century, summer wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Heat waves claimed thousands of lives every year. Factories struggled to stay productive. Food spoiled quickly. Medicines became unstable, and entire businesses slowed down whenever temperatures climbed. In many cities, life almost came to a standstill during the hottest months. Yet no one imagined that the solution to one factory's printing problem would eventually reshape modern civilization. The man behind this revolution was a young engineer named Willis Carrier. Fresh out of college and only 25 years old, he had no idea that his first major assignment would change the future forever. His invention would eventually make it possible to build modern hospitals, towering skyscrapers, powerful computer data centers, and even thriving cities in the middle of deserts. But before any of that happened, it all started inside a struggling printing company in Buffalo, New York. The year was 1902. Inside a busy printing plant in Buffalo, New York, workers were facing a frustrating mystery. Every summer, their expensive printing jobs began to fail. The machines weren't broken, the ink wasn't defective, and the workers weren't making mistakes. The real culprit was something no one could see: humidity. As warm summer air filled the building, paper absorbed moisture from the atmosphere. Even tiny changes in humidity caused each sheet to expand ever so slightly. That may not sound like a big problem, but in professional color printing, even the smallest movement could ruin an entire page. Each color, red, blue, yellow, and black, had to be printed in perfect alignment. When the paper expanded, those colors no longer lined up. Images became blurry. Text looked distorted. Thousands of freshly printed pages had to be thrown away. The company was losing money with every passing day. Desperate for a solution, the factory turned to an engineering firm. Instead of assigning the project to a famous expert, the company made an unexpected decision. They handed the challenge to a young engineer who had barely begun his career, Willis Carrier. Rather than guessing, Carrier carefully studied the factory for weeks. He measured temperatures. He tracked humidity throughout the day. He observed how the paper reacted as the weather changed. Eventually, he reached a surprising conclusion. The heat itself wasn't destroying the paper. The real enemy was the invisible moisture floating in the air. If he could control humidity, he could solve the entire problem. That simple idea would become the foundation of one of history's greatest inventions. Now that Willis Carrier understood the problem, he still had one big challenge: finding a solution. For days he tested different ideas, but nothing seemed to work. Then, one ordinary afternoon, inspiration arrived in the most unexpected place. He was waiting for a train when he noticed a thick layer of fog drifting through the station. As he watched the cool mist move through the air, something suddenly clicked. He realized that cooling warm air could force excess moisture to turn into water. If he could remove humidity from the air, he could finally protect the paper. That simple observation became the foundation of modern air conditioning. Carrier immediately returned to work and began designing a completely new machine. His design would cool the air while removing its moisture at the same time. It worked using a simple scientific process we now call condensation. It's the same reason water droplets appear on a cold glass during a hot summer day. In 1902, the world's first modern air conditioning system was installed inside the printing factory. Almost immediately, the humidity dropped. The paper stayed perfectly flat. The colors lined up exactly as they were supposed to. For the first time, the factory could print high-quality products even during the hottest days of summer. The company's biggest problem had finally been solved, but neither Carrier nor anyone else realized what had truly happened. The machine that saved a printing company was about to transform the entire world. The success of Willis Carrier's invention spread quickly. Factory owners across America began hearing about a machine that could control humidity with incredible precision. Soon, requests started pouring in from industries facing the same invisible problem. Textile mills were among the first to adopt Carrier's system. By controlling humidity, cotton fibers became stronger, smoother, and much easier to weave into high-quality fabric. Paper manufacturers soon followed, producing more consistent products than ever before. Food processing companies also realized that controlled air could keep products fresher and reduce waste. Pharmaceutical manufacturers discovered that many medicines required stable temperature and humidity to be produced safely. What had started as a solution for one printing company was now transforming entire industries. In 1906, Willis Carrier officially patented his groundbreaking invention. He called it an apparatus for treating air, a name that described exactly what the machine was designed to do. But Carrier believed his invention could do much more than simply protect factories. Over the next few years, he continued improving his technology, making it more efficient, more reliable, and easier to install. Then, in 1911, Carrier presented a scientific paper that would become one of the most important documents in engineering history. For the first time, he explained the science of controlling temperature, humidity, and airflow using precise mathematical calculations. Engineers from around the world were amazed. Carrier hadn't just invented a machine. He had created an entirely new science. From that moment on, modern air conditioning was no longer just an experiment. It became a technology capable of changing buildings, industries, and eventually, everyday life itself. But just as Carrier's future looked brighter than ever, a worldwide economic disaster was about to put everything he had built at risk. Just as Willis Carrier's invention was gaining momentum, disaster struck. In 1929, the American stock market crashed, triggering the Great Depression. Businesses collapsed, banks failed, and millions of people lost their jobs almost overnight. For most companies, Buying an expensive air conditioning system became impossible. Orders disappeared, and Carrier's business faced one of the biggest challenges in its history. It seemed as though the invention that had changed factories might never reach the rest of the world. But then, an unexpected hero entered the story. Movie theaters. On scorching summer days, stepping inside a cooled movie theater felt like entering another world. Many people bought tickets not just to watch a film, but simply to escape the heat. Theaters with air conditioning were packed with customers. Theaters without it struggled to survive. Soon, cinema owners across America rushed to install Carrier systems. Almost overnight, new orders began flooding into Carrier's company once again. Air conditioning was no longer just an industrial machine. For the first time, ordinary people experienced what cool indoor air truly felt like. After World War II, the technology became smaller, cheaper, and more efficient. By the 1950s, air conditioners were finding their way into American homes. Soon, cities once considered too hot to live in began to grow at an incredible pace. Today, hospitals, airports, shopping malls, offices, schools, data centers, and even the internet depend on air conditioning every single day. A machine that was invented to save paper ended up changing the way the entire world lives. Sometimes, history's greatest inventions don't begin with a dream of changing the world. They begin with solving one small problem.